It's an honor to be here. I lived here about 20 years ago. We had the honor of starting South Africa. Rabbi Willis sent me and my husband and another family down to Joburg. We were here for 2 years, and it's so amazing to be back. My son Sudi is here. He's the one taking pictures. Say hello. He was 2 when we were here. It's great to be back. You have an amazing community, and thank you so much for the warm welcome. So I'm a trip leader for JWRP. Some of my JWRP ladies are here. We do this trip to Israel. And there are many trips to Israel. We're not the only one. We're the best one, but we're not the only one. So when people say to me, you know, there's so many trips to Israel, why should I go on JWRP? So I explain it like this. There's 2 sides to Israel. There's an inside and an outside. And most trips will show you the outside, meaning the physical beauty. And Israel is a very beautiful country. But only some trips will show you her soul. And JWRP is one of the few. And the women who've been on the trip, no matter how many times they've been to Israel, you could ask them, they will say this trip is different. It's a completely different take on the country and the land and the ideas and how it fills their tank. And someone even came to us and said, we need to take Israelis on this trip. And we were like, why would Israelis need a trip to Israel? Like, they live there. And the answer is this, because they live in Israel, so they have this relationship with the outside of Israel. You know, that's their dry cleaners, and that's their school, and that's their park, and Israel is their South Africa. Do you think about the soul of South Africa? Like, maybe once in a while, but mostly you're too busy living life. So sometimes Israelis get too busy living life, and they forget to think about the soul of Israel. And the Israelis on the trip tell us, after the trip, Israel looks completely different to them, even though they've spent their whole lives there. And I think sometimes we're like this in life. I think sometimes we live life on the outside, and we forget about the inside. We forget about the soul of things. We forget about our own soul, and we forget about the souls of the people around us, our spouses, our children, our co-workers, the cashier. Everyone's got a soul. And we forget to connect to that, and we just stay on the outside. If I would go out in the hallway here, and I would take a survey of just people walking by, are you a body or a soul? What do you think people would say? Both. I think most people would say both. I think most people experience that there's some combination of both. So Judaism does not agree with that. Judaism says this. You listening? It's very subtle. Judaism says you are a soul, you just have a body. You hear that difference? You are a soul, you have a body. So why does everybody think they're both? Well, like, why are people confused? So the reason we're confused is because we have these voices, this voice in our head all the time talking to us. Do you know what I mean? Raise your hand if you know you have a voice talking to you all the time. Okay, those of you sitting there not raising your hands thinking, voice? What voice? I don't have any voice. Okay, that's the voice. You hear the voice, okay? As I'm talking to you, the voice in your head is talking to you about what I'm saying. It never stops, okay? You have 2 voices, actually. One is the voice of your body, and one is the voice of your soul. And they have conversations all of the time. 20 years ago, I heard Rebbetzin Heller, a speaker in Israel, explain it like this. She said, there is one part of me that really wants to be healthy and lose 20 pounds. But at the same time, there is an equally serious part of me that asks the question if a donut is a good or a bad idea after 2 slices of pizza. Yes? We've all been there, right? The alarm goes off in the morning and part of you says, you should really get up now. And the other voice says, I will, I'm just hitting snooze once, right? And we go through these conversations all the time. So Judaism tells us the real you is your soul. Your body is just your scuba suit. Your soul is a spiritual thing. You are really a spiritual thing that came into a physical world to have a physical experience. So a soul can't exist here in a physical world by itself. So it needed to be paired with something. It needed to be encapsulated in something so that you could exist here, to be held down. And that scuba suit is your body. The same way your body needs a scuba suit to exist in the underwater world, your soul needs a scuba suit to exist in the physical world. And that scuba suit is your body. The problem is that this scuba suit has a personality and a voice. So that's where things get complicated. And that's where we need to be able to navigate this. Because sometimes we really want to do the right thing. We just honestly don't know what that is. And we get confused. So enter Jewish wisdom. And over the millennia, Jewish wisdom has given us some clues to figure out which voice is which and be able to recognize them in the heat of the moment so you know which way to go. So I'm very quickly going to give you 3 clues. You ready? Clue number 1. Rav Dessler, in his book Strive for Truth, says this. He says, the voice of the soul will always say, you. You really shouldn't eat that. The voice of the body will always say, I. I'm just going to have 1 sliver, right? You should really get up now. I will. I'm just going to hit snooze. You really shouldn't yell at the kids. But they're making me crazy. I can't stand them, right? That the voice of the body always says I, voice of the soul always says you. Clue number 2. Rav Noah Weinberg Zatzal, the Rosh Hashiva and founder of Aish Torah, would say it like this. He'd say, your soul is telling you what you really want to do. The voice of your body is telling you what you feel like doing. So you really want to get up early. You feel like hitting snooze. How do I know you really want to get up early? Because who set the alarm clock last night? Right? When all was good and well, 6 a.m. sounded like a great idea, right? Till it was 6 a.m., right? You really shouldn't eat that. And you want to eat the healthy things. I'm just having 1 sliver. I feel like eating that. You want to be a good parent. You feel like yelling. That's another difference. 3rd clue. My husband taught me this one. The voice of the soul sounds like a wise old teacher who just looked up from their books for a moment and very quietly, with kindness and firmness and total self-confidence, told you what needed to be done. You really should get up now. The voice of the body sounds like a child throwing a temper tantrum, right? The kids are making me crazy, I can't, da, 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 right? The soul never sounds like that. So if you walk in late to work and your boss screams at you in front of everybody and now you're sitting at your desk and you're like recovering, right? The voices love this moment. They go crazy at this moment. So your voice of the soul will very quietly one time say, you know, you were late to work because you left late, because you hit snooze. It won't say it. It says it once. And the voice of the body's like, I hate my boss. I'm going to tell her off one day. What does it do with anything? Nothing. It's just the body throwing a temper tantrum. That's what the body does. It's good to know that the body is not bad. The body is just immature. It's like kids. Remember, you have kids? Those little people that make a lot of noise, right? So kids, a baby, if it's hungry at 3 a.m., will just scream its head off, right? It doesn't matter if you're in the supermarket, right? It doesn't matter where you are. A baby, when they want something, they just scream because they want it right now. The body's kind of like that. It just wants what it wants right now. A baby's not being mean. A baby just doesn't know anybody else is out there, right? Like you can't say to a baby, sweetheart, you were up all night last night. Tonight, mommy needs some sleep. It's my turn, right? You can't say that. Right? Not because the baby's evil or inconsiderate, it's just totally focused on its needs. That's how the body is. It's not bad, it's just immature. And those needs are important, right? Eat, sleep, hot, cold, pain, right? If you never listen to the voice of the body, you would die, okay? This is a good voice to listen to. We just have to be able to draw the line between taking care of our needs and indulging. That's where we want to go with this. So the good news is that your body is trainable. Just like your kids, as they mature, they can control themselves more, hopefully, right? A baby will scream at 3 a.m. if it's hungry, but a 15-year-old will hopefully just make their own lunch, right? There's no crying or screaming, just go to the fridge, right? So your body is like that. You can train it to delay its needs, to be patient, to be giving, and as we get older, we want to train our body to go for the physical pleasure less, the donuts, the ego, the money. Go for that less because it won't give you as much pleasure. Judaism wants you to love your life. We want you to get pleasure from life. We want you to have an amazing life. So we want you to get pleasure from life. But there's many different types of pleasure in life. There's donuts and there's saving a life. They're both pleasures. They're just 2 completely different categories. So we want to be able to show the body, when you follow the soul, everybody's happy, body and soul. When you follow the body, nobody's happy. Certainly not soul, but not even your body. So let me show you by way of example. Imagine you join the gym, okay? You want to get in shape, you join the gym. Now this is a soul choice, okay? Because to get healthy, you have to overcome the body, right? As anybody who's dieted or tried to get healthy, you have to overcome the body to get there. It's a soul choice. You're doing the right thing. So imagine you join the gym, okay? What's the first thing you do when you join a gym? You go shopping, right? Everybody knows that. Okay, so you go shopping, right? You got the bag, you got the shoes, you look fantastic. You're totally out of shape, but you look great, okay? 6 weeks later, you finally go to the gym, okay? You show up for your first class, a spin class, a step, whatever floats your boat, okay? You're totally out of shape. How do you feel? Horrible, okay? It's killing you. What's your body saying? We're going to die. That's what your body's saying, right? Again, we had a good thing going. Like, what are we doing here, right? Okay, you finish the class, you limp home. The next morning, you wake up, how do you feel? Horrible, stiff, totally Charlie horsed, okay? Now comes your moment of choice. Now the voices start going. Your soul says, we're doing this, we're getting healthy, it doesn't matter your child, we're going back, okay? Let's say you follow the soul, okay? You schlep yourself back to the gym 3 times a week for 1 week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. How do you feel now? Great, right? Now you're in shape, now you're loving it. How does your body feel? Amazing. Your body loves the gym. And if something happens and you miss your workout, your body's like, what are we doing? I need to go to the gym. Because when you follow the soul is for sure happy because you did the right thing, but the body's happy because it did the right thing. But let's go back to that moment of choice where you're Charlie horse the morning after, and your body's like, we're never going back. You are insane. We are not doing that again, okay? Let's say you go, you know what? You're right. My bad. Forget the gym. I'm sorry. Body, what do you want to do? So your body has that answer, okay? Your body's been waiting for this moment. So you find a nice reality show on Netflix, and 3 times a week, instead of going to the gym, you sit on the couch, you eat potato chips, and you watch TV, okay? For 1 week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. How do you feel now? Horrible, okay? How does your body feel? Disgusting. Okay, your soul, forget it. Your soul checks out when you do this to yourself. Your soul is never going to say, oh, I love this, feeling horrible, looking terrible. This is fantastic, right? Your soul is never going to say that. But the surprise plot twist is that your body isn't even happy when you follow body. Your body thinks it's a good idea, but it's like your kids. When they want to stay up all night and eat jelly beans, they actually think that's a good idea, okay, until they do it. And then they feel sick, like that was a mistake, okay? Your body is just like an immature child. It needs to be trained and raised. Here's the cheat sheet to life, okay? This is you're so lucky you came today, okay? This is the answer key at the end of the book. Physical pleasure can only bring you comfort. It can never bring you happiness. Now, comfort and happiness look really similar at first glance, which is why so many people get confused here. They both feel good. So when you feel comfortable, you think, I must be happy, but you're not. Comfort is counterfeit happiness, which means it's pretending to be something that it isn't. Physical pleasure, at best, will only make you comfortable and only temporarily comfortable, because physical pleasure is fleeting. A donut only tastes good when it's in your mouth. As soon as it's done, it's a memory, which is why you might eat another and another and another. And then you realize more physical pleasure does not bring more pleasure, it brings less, right? Because it's not the road to happiness, it's only the road to comfort. Happiness is the currency of the soul. Only the soul can bring you to happiness. The body can't even do business there. The currency of the body is physical pleasure and comfort. The currency of the soul is happiness. Following the soul is the only way to get to lasting happiness. And many a person has suffered a midlife crisis because it took them half a lifetime to figure this out. Aren't you glad you came today? You see this? Now, the trick is, how do you remember that in the heat of the moment? Right? Because there's going to be all these things flying at you, and you want to be able to remember soul equals happiness equals physical pleasure body equals comfort equals physical pleasure, but it's not going to, they're forks in the road. How do you remember that in the heat of the moment? What we want to do is get like a spiritual muscle memory so we don't have to think. This is why armies train and train and train the IDF, right? So that when they go out to war, they don't have to think in the battle. They just automatically do what they need to do. So how do we become soul choice kind of people? So that in the heat of the moment, we know exactly what choice to make. We don't have to think. So this is what the Torah is all about. The Torah is like spiritual boot camp. People don't often translate the word Torah. They treat it like an English word, you know, T-O-R-A-H, Torah. But it's a Hebrew word, so that means it has an English translation. Torah's like the word Mora. What's a Mora? A teacher. So Torah means teachings. They both come from the word lahorot, which means to show or to teach. In Israel, one of my friends told me the driving manual is called Torat HaNehiga, instructions for driving. Our Torah is called Torat Chayim, instructions for living. It's the manual for life on earth, like this is just how this place works. So what's the Torah doing? It's giving you all these little under-the-radar moments. We take all of these intersections of body and soul, and we give you a soul choice to make when, like, the body's radar is down. When you say, let's go to the gym, the body revolts. The body doesn't want to do that. But what the Torah does, and it's genius, is it gives you all these intersections of body and soul, and you choose soul in all these really small ways. The body doesn't know what's going on. So before you take a drink of water, you make a bracha. So what did you just do? You took something that's for the body, and you made it a soul choice. Body doesn't care, so mumble to your water. What do I care, right? But what did you just do? You just made a soul choice. When we eat, we keep kosher. We're not a religion that says, don't have physical pleasure, have bread and water, live by yourself. We're not like that. We say, bring your body with you. We're very into physical pleasure. Just elevate it. Just train it. Just be mature about it. So what's the laws of Lashon Hara? You're not two bodies having a conversation. You're two souls having a conversation. Putting somebody else down, that's counterfeit happiness. That's never going to make you happy. If you elevate that, you're choosing soul in all of these ways that you don't even know it, it's under the radar. Even how we dress helps us to choose soul instead of body. Now, dress has become very interesting over the last 100 years. If you look at pictures from like the early 20th century up until that point, how people dress, right, wrong, good, bad, that's a different conversation. But the way it was, the women wore long skirts, men wore suits and hats and ties, and that's just how it was. So I'm from New York. Who has been to New York? Okay, Times Square? Okay, now I love New York. I am a New Yorker through and through. I even like Times Square, okay? But whoa, it is unbelievable how many media messages are coming at you from every direction. And what every company, what every billboard is selling us is you are a body. And here's what you need to be happy. You need body things. And we get these messages coming at us from all over the place. And this is the Cosmo Effect. The Cosmo Effect, the Cosmopolitan magazine, this is what the Cosmo Effect is. You don't even need to go to Times Square. Drive down any highway, the billboards, the posters. Look at your phone, your computer, your television. Everything is telling us you're a body. The fashion industry, the health industry, travel, interior design, they're all giving us these messages that you are a body, and what you need to be happy is body things. If you think back 100 years ago, 200 years ago, they didn't even have cameras 200 years ago. So if you wanted to see China, you had to go to China. Nobody knew what China. Now, everyone knows what the Great Wall of China looks like. We don't appreciate how many images, we see more images in a week than they saw in a lifetime. And you cannot have an image of the soul. You can only have an image of the physical. So we're inundated with this physical reality, this physical world. Adrian Gold, who's another JWRP triplater, makes the brilliant point that these industries have actually hijacked the language of the soul to get us to buy their products. So they'll say things like, serenity can be found on our cruise ships. Right? Or true love will be yours if you just wear our perfume, right? Now, serenity and love, these are needs of the soul. They're not needs of the body, but they try to trick us into buying their products to reach these soul milestones. And then they're making tons of money, so they're doing something right. And we're not happy and we can't figure out why. It's because we're dealing in counterfeit pleasure. This is never going to take us where we want to go. Now, it's important to remember Judaism, like I said, is not against physical pleasure. Like, don't get confused. We're very into physical pleasure. On Shabbat, we say it's a day for the soul, but we say bring your body with you. Save your best food for Shabbat, get dressed up, use your best stuff. It's a mitzvah to drink wine. It's a mitzvah to have a candlelit dinner. Do you understand? It's like the greatest religion ever. It's a mitzvah to get married. Other religions have as like their holiest people don't get married, and that could be totally fine for them. Like there's many paths up the mountain. It's just not Jewish. The Jewish way is it's a mitzvah to get married. We want to bring your body with you. We want you to have this